So I'm going to turn this over to Gal Bitensky, Senior Malware Psychologist and Vaccinations and Honeypots.
Yeah. So, yeah, time is running. So, hi, I'm Gal, just like Gal Gadot, which you all know, Wonder Woman. And what we are about to talk here today about is an interesting way to repel attackers. I think it's like really interesting. Instead of luring them, we are doing the other way around. We repel them. This is like kind of an attempt to, there's like the cat and mouse chase today. Yeah, like those guys. And, well, you know who wins in this race. No? Yeah. This is the guy who wins in this race, And Itchy and Scratchy, for those of you who are not familiar with The Simpsons. And I'm trying to do something different. Something where I don't want to exchange the cat and mouse, but I want us to be the mouse and the cat to be the guys who write malware and do like bad stuff, hopefully. What we are going to do today is, well, we'll start with talking about honeypots. Yeah, there's going to be a problem, I see. It's clipped on the side a bit. Yeah, that's better. Thanks. Thank you. That's okay. We'll start by talking a bit about honeypots, like 60 seconds about honeypots, then about the opposite of honeypots and how it happens in the nature, this kind of anti-honeypot thing. Just a sec. Yeah, now we're good. And then we'll go to how we apply this kind of natural approach to repel attackers in the InfoSec world. And we'll end with good idea, bad idea when applying this approach. You can do like really stupid stuff this way. We don't want you to do it. We want to be as efficient as it can be. And we'll do a short demo, but just like fun time. So it's even not here. A bit about myself. I don't know how many of you have been like yesterday in my talk. So we'll do it all over again. Hi, I'm Gal, 29-year-old geek from Tel Aviv. I'm working in a startup called Minerva Labs. There's like, what you're seeing here today is kind of my day job. But let's don't turn it into like a pitch or something. I like to think about myself as a senior malware psychologist. And I'm fluent in all kinds of exotic languages, like C#, Ruby, Perl, Arabic. Are there any Arabic speakers in crowd today? Are you like maybe shy? So, أهلا وسهلا فيكم نرحبكم بمناسبة مؤتمر بيسايدز LV 2017. Yeah. So this is like the couple of Arabic words that I was able to learn before. Well, I did anything from like doing some scripting to ICS exploits, which is just like sending commands to ICS. I have like all kinds of experience in our world, and it's nice. Our job is really funny and fun. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm GAL_B1T. You don't have to, but if you have questions, feel free to approach me. I'm really friendly, and I really like you to have questions. So what is a honeypot? That's my best animation in any presentation which I have ever did. So on the right side, you see Xenia Unatop. She's one of my favorite female villains in all James Bond movies. On the left side, you can see Sean Connery, which is my second favorite Bond. Xenia Unatop is the honeypot. She's that first lady to appear in every Bond movie you can think about. She tries to lure Bond. She'll do this little dingle-dingle, yeah. And James will come and maybe he thinks she's a catch or something. I don't know. He's just like this misogynistic scumbag that he is. But up close, he understands that she's in a bargain. So bang, he shots her and no more honeypot. Yeah. It happens in every Bond movie. You can check it out. 99% of them. And this is the problem with honeypots. Some of them are good, but in most cases, attackers can detect it. And I have like this what-if moment in this talk where let's think what we can do like in another way. What if instead of like attracting the attackers, we can repel them? We can be like, I don't know, in James Bond case, the ugliest girl in the room. Or boy, we're not judging. So what is this anti-honeypot? It's simply natural approach of repelling attackers. This is the Texan milk snake. Yeah. No, it's the coral snake. It's the coral snake, and you can have like this Mexican milk snake, which is not dangerous. You can see how similar they are. They're not that similar, but they're pretty similar. And the one on the right side is not venomous at all, and the one on the left side is very venomous. And the one on the right side defends itself by just looking like the one on the left. Very simple. Yeah, so, yeah, butterflies are also hackers. They don't do this kind of stuff. Yeah, this is not butterfly hacking, but they do try to look one like the other. Here you have a couple of butterflies. You have the monarch butterfly and the viceroy butterfly. One of them, if like a bird will eat it, she'll have like serious stuff in her stomach, and the other one just looks like the first one. So, well, again, one of the butterflies, the one on the right, tries to look like the one on the left. It's that simple, and it doesn't need to be venomous. It doesn't need to be anything, just to look like the one which is. It's called, by the way, mimicry, Bayesian mimicry, for you biologists in the crowd. So we need to take this kind of, yeah, attackers are not afraid of red and stripes. You just like don't go to start to paint your PCs in the enterprise in red stripes and, I don't know, put some butterfly wings on the top or something. It won't work. So we need to translate this kind of tactic to the world of our world, the world of InfoSec. How we do it? I started by classifying attacker spheres into 4 categories. The first category is, well, how many of you in the crowd are blue teamers? I'm blue teamer now. So they're afraid of you guys. They're afraid of virtualized and analysis environment. They try to evade like a flesh and blood researcher, which I find a bit insulting because I can, you know, he calls isDebugger present. I'm in a debugger, so I can change the flag, for example. Yeah, but it's much more effective when we talk about massive automated analysis. If they effectively detect VMs or sandbox or whatever, it's very good for them because they can evade analysis and, well, they can make money out of it or intelligence or whatever their goal is. They seek mostly for, hence for static and dynamic analysis tools like Wireshark, IDA, whatever, and VM infrastructure. Mostly VMware or VirtualBox, sometimes emulators, but it's a bit more rare from my experience. This is the simplest of simplest examples. It is from like Black Hat 10 years ago. I still see it used in the wild. Can you see it from the back? It's just like the simplest, like find window, OllyDBG, and WinDBG. You can't do anything which is simpler than that. And there's another like example I met like about a year ago. Are there any ASCII ninjas in the crowd? Yeah, I saw this like nice jumping weird pattern when I reversed this. It is a Loki sample from about a year ago, and it like calls a get username A here, and then char upper buff A here, and then it is doing all of those like weird comparisons with, this is like the ASCII of whatever it is searching, and this is, well, somebody guessed what it is? No? Sandbox. Surprise, surprise, it just like seeks the user named Sandbox. I don't understand why people are naming their user in the Sandbox Sandbox, but, well, we all know how it works when we hire pros sometimes. Yeah. Interesting example. This is WannaCry. This nice guy from Twitter. He set a honeypot and he got WannaCry in 3 minutes. This guy, also a nice guy from Twitter, he didn't set a honeypot. He tried to obtain a sample of a malware which did exactly the same thing. UIWIX, I don't know how to pronounce it even. It's something like UX or something, I don't know. And nobody was able to get samples of this malware, which means it will be harder to get some behavioral analysis which will detect it. Why? Well, it used the exactly same exploit. And then I reversed this UIWIX one, and I found that it used the simplest of simplest stuff. Easy debugger present, but not only. It also like searched for pipes related to cuckoo. I don't know, like they had like a kind of issue with the escape cards, I guess, or something. And they checked if specific modules are loaded. This one relates to Komodo's, one of Komodo's product. They did like the simplest of simplest things, checked if VBox DLLs and VMware DLLs are loaded. And funnily enough, it relates to my talk from yesterday about copy-pasting your malware, doing like the simplest of simple stuff. I took the list of like files they've searched, and I was able to find it in online repositories. It was very simple to do it. And think about the benefit of it. Yeah, it's just like this pipes. I actually found exactly in the same order, also here. And yeah, I guess that the ones in front rows can see like the name of the forum. I don't know if I'm allowed to say fuck live, but it's fuckav.ru. And you can see that they have here like a closing bracket. And this is from a legit site, Reverse Engineering, Stack Exchange. They actually have the same arrow there as well. So I don't know who copied from who. Maybe they copied from, I don't know. But at least like the guys with the malware had like the brain to remove this stupid thing. Yeah. So second fear, blue teamers, but this time not like you, but maybe other portion of you who are in charge of writing good AV software, good like network security software. Bad guys are afraid of it. They try to evade it. They know that they can't win like all the fights, but they are pretty sure that they can win like 90% of the fights. And well, think about it. You have a ransomware. It's like a major operation to deploy it. You need like C2 servers. You need money mules. Setting all of this up is a complex operation. And let's say you have it all ready and set up, and then you tested your stuff offline because you're the attacker. You have the attacker's advantage. And well, in my case, I saw that they detected that ESET, Kaspersky, and Avast detected their malware. Well, 3 nice vendors out of, I don't know, 60. Yeah, we can go ahead, but before we unpack our code and we load all of the, the get proc address of all of like the dangerous functions, let's test like for the registry keys of those vendors. We have a nice example for it afterwards in the live demo. So, another nice example for it, NotPetya. I guess that you've all heard about it. It's like the first function which is called. It checks for running processes. It looks like this kind of a wacky loop where it checks for like the CRC of the processes. It calls the create tool help snapshot 32 whatever API. It iterates through the list of the processes, and it compares every process name, like the SZ, exe, file name, whatever. it compares it to this like blacklist of CRCs, which are Kaspersky, Norton, and Symantec, which is just the same as Norton. I guess that they've just like checked offline which of their modules trigger like alerts in those products, and yeah, I can avoid those products. I don't care, I can deploy my malware. It was written pretty hastily, according to some researchers. So it just makes sense. For each process which was detected, they saved the value of it in this like variables. It was either like B or 7. And those are the bits. You'll see in a sec why it matters. Well, it matters because of this. Those like all of the references to this variable, and you can see that there's like some kind of a test for like the LSB, the least significant byte, and some number in hex, and those functions like 4 and 8 had like at least like the one 4, I think. They were like very critical because if it wasn't executed, you were able to restore your file system. It won't infect the rest of your organization. It's critical stuff. So if you had any one of those AVs installed, you could have like saved, I don't know, 20%. You could have like stopped 20% of NotPetya. It's not a lot, but it's like quite effective. But think about what we can do with vaccination, as we're about to see. What will happen if we will just mimic it? We won't have Kaspersky, we won't have Norton, we won't have Symantec. Let's assume we'll have the best AV out there, Windows Defender. But we'll have processes named like Kaspersky and Norton and Symantec. We'll prevent 40% of the malware. Instead of like having like those like bits, we'll have this ones. And you can see, you can do like the logical AND between them to see that it is prevented this way. Next, third fear. They're afraid of themselves. Think about a scenario where you infect a machine, let's say with ransomware. You don't want to encrypt the machine twice. It's like kind of an interesting race condition where you start encrypted with one instance and then the other instance is running, and you want to restore the files afterwards somehow, so you don't want it to be like double encrypted or something. So they actually abuse proper mechanisms most of the times. They use mutexes, just like we do. Also, we'll see it in demo. And we'll see it also now. This is one of the most famous worms out there. This is part of a config. When I always like see mutex in malware, I look for the compare B7 after there's like a get last error. So this is my way to know that we have here a potential for a mutex which will prevent something. Yeah, it's really small. Just like search config and mutex and you'll get to it. It's like, it is from I think 2008 maybe, and it still happens today. Sometimes they have a different mechanism. This is from Loki instance, again, one of the first Loki to appear. They actually had a registry key, HKLM software completed with a value which they set either to, I think it was 0 or 1. And if you had completed set to 1, it won't encrypt your machine, amazingly. That's nice if you can think about like the application we'll have for it later on. Both of those were taken from this nice guy's website, by the way, Sylvian. I guess he's like French, Sarmejan. He has a great blog. Oh, yeah. And we also have the Spore ransomware, which did the same thing, like recently. You know, all of this like Hoffler text thing, which led to the Spore ransomware, actually found that it created the mutex, which is a concatenation. Yeah, it's really small, but this is the volume serial number in decimal. And I just like converted it to hex. And then you can see here the mutex, which is like a concatenation. It's pretty small, but trust me. And of course, I will release this presentation later on. Yeah. We actually released as a company a tool to vaccinate, but I think it's not relevant anymore. If you want, you can browse to our website, and there's like an entire blog post about it. And yeah, another case, WannaCry. WannaCry had a mutex. But there was a little problem with this mutex. We actually released here a tool also to solve it. This mutex was local. So if it is running in the same session as the user which created the mutex, let's say I just created the script, the stupidest script in the world, which creates this mutex. And as a researcher, I downloaded the malware, I double-clicked it. It will run in the same session as me because, yeah, I created the mutex, I'm executing the sample. Yeah, everything is running in the same Windows session. But in the scenario where it arrives via the exploit, it will run in session 0, which is not my session. And then it will not see my mutex, which is, well, it is just like as it wasn't created, never created, so it's a problem. Yeah, and we need, of course, to have this guy here in the slide. Yeah, I salute you. But this is not the only ransomware which had some kind of kill switches, and maybe some of you heard about NotPetya, which we had before. It also had like a kind of a kill switch mutex preventing thing, and also we should thank this guy, which is over there, by the way. Yeah, he's embarrassed. But all of you should look at him, make him more embarrassed. Yeah. Thank you, Amit. And yeah, we have a celebrity in the crowd today. He, by the way, will be the first to admit that this mutex was very nice. It immunized against this wave of attack, but in this case, it is an example, as we will discuss later, for a mutex that wasn't effective because we detected this mutex after the attack was already gone. So yeah, it's a problem. Yeah. So, fourth fear, Russian people. It's an example for stuff. It's not, I have nothing against Russian people. One of my grandmothers from like Russia, somewhat, Russia, Azerbaijan, just next to Russia. And we need to be careful with what we throw when we vaccinate because, you know, some malware is afraid of infecting you if you have Russian keyboard, but I don't know, maybe they're afraid of, let's say, this guy. I'm not sure why. It's like this, you can see how fluffy and nice he is. I don't know why. He's like so cute, but so, some of the other malware is what I call comrade targeted malware. Yeah, it was my Eugene Kaspersky voice. Yeah. And it will attack you only if you have Russian keyboard. So when we do vaccination, we need to have some considerations, and we are not aware of it because it is an exciting new world. And this is why I'm trying to share some of my experience here with you today. We need to be careful with what we wish for. So, yeah, we have like all of the stuff, but how the hell bad guys know when to bug out? Again, some categories. Static Windows artifacts, as you guess, registry keys, files, registry keys and values, files, folders, what you might expect. Those are good for us because we can vaccinate with those easily. We can create those persistently on our machine. Good for us as blue teamers. Really easy and nice to do. It's part of my script. It's available on GitHub. We'll see it later in action. And we'll have a link to it, of course, as well. We also have dynamic Windows artifacts, like, for example, processors, mutexes, Windows. But this, like, kind of, if you want to scale it, it requires a different approach because my script is just like takes one executable, duplicates it 50 times, renames it, and executes it. It's nice. It's working very effectively. But you don't want to do this unlike an enterprise because, like, any user will see, like, this amount of processes and, well, some of them will think they have a virus or something. I don't know. Yeah, you don't want to do it. At least, like, if you're not in the a demo. I can talk with you later about how it can be done. Anyway. You also have a third category, low-level tricks. You can do amazing stuff. The Red Pill by Joanna Rutkowska, which is like 13 years old. It looks somewhat like this. This is equivalent for a 0 day, from my point of view. It's amazing to detect this kind of stuff. It is out there. There are those exploits out there. But it's very complex. You need to analyze the memory of hypervisors. No, I don't want to do it. I want to do simpler stuff. And you have timing attacks, which are like not the most reliable things. How many of you have heard about Pafish, the paranoid fish? Well, you should know about it. It's a free open source tool to detect sandbox. And from my personal experience with it, sometimes it works, sometimes it's not. They use a method to like test they use the opcode RDTSC, and it is quite reliable, but it doesn't always work. You also have hardware feature when you can like test the vendor of the processor and other stuff, but well, all of those are not reliable. We need like to be, I don't know, crazy in order to simulate this kind of stuff. It's like super complex, but why we should bother anyway? Because those guys, which they were like talked about in Reuters today, those are the copy kittens, an Iranian APT group. They actually copy-pasted Pafish to their malware. So they have like, I think 29 different methods to detect VM, VirtualBox, whatever. And they search for those complex like artifacts to vaccinate with for us, but they also search for, I don't know, HKLM software, VMware Inc., which is like, yeah, we can create this kind of easily. And this like, we don't need to bother so much. It's just like too much. Yeah, just before the demo, yeah, that's like my favorite part of the talk. I'm an Animaniacs fan. Let's talk a bit about good ideas and bad ideas when we do vaccination. This time from the attacker's point of view. How many of you are red teamers? Yeah, I see that nobody here is almost a red teamer or a blue teamer. That's nice, but for those of you raising hands, thank you. You're amazing participants in this talk. So, what's a good idea? Besides like having a breakfast served into your bed, as an attacker, you want to always detect VMs easily and reliably. So I will search for the files, the registry, all the stuff which are out there, which are easy for me to detect, which doesn't make any noise. I'm not like compiling assembly directly into my code. I don't have like places where I can do some serious bad stuff to my code. It's reliable, and that's good for me. Bad idea. Having tennis balls served into your bed. Yeah, that's a bad idea indeed. I don't want to search for like the complex stuff, for the the username or the cursor movements. No, I don't want this to be like the focus of what I search as an attacker. I want to have something which is not this cat and mouse we saw before, because I released a tool about a week ago, which is called the Smooth Criminal. This is an example for a bad tool. I got, I think, almost 100 retweets, like through other people who retweeted it, and it is a bad tool. What happens with this tool is, it, instead of cuckoo and all the other sandbox, when they analyze a sample, the cursor just like jumps from one place to another, and so this is like to counter malware which searches if you move the mouse. So the mouse moves, but how smoothly it moves. Sorry, yeah, not this one. It is like just like jumps all over the place, and I've just like did the basic calculus as Newton and Leibniz taught us to do, and I just calculated the derivative of the movement, and And yeah, you can see it, and like the link below is like less than 50 lines of Python. And I create an amazing evasion technique. It bypasses all of the sandbox I've checked so far. But yeah, tomorrow it can be countered. It is like me as an attacker being on the wrong side of this cat and mouse chase. So don't use it. This is bad idea. Yeah, don't use it. Bad tool. So let's talk about defenders a bit. What is like good for bad guys here is, for the first time, it is what's good for defenders as well. It is very easy to create the impression that you are running VMware or VirtualBox or whatever machine. It is very easy for you to do it, and you can like prevent tons of like APTs, and you can't imagine like the stupid stuff malware is searching. It is like dead stupid, and it just like works. And like even malware, if the malware is trying for some reason to be like smartest or something and to search for new artifacts, well, there's like a new VM framework which was launched this year. It doesn't happen. You have like VMware, VirtualBox, Box, QEMU, and I don't know, maybe like a couple of more. But there are just like very few like products you need to chase. And even if a new product is launched, well, there's like malware backward compatibility where they still need to search VMware and VirtualBox and all the other products, because many sandbox, like in enterprises, still use VMware. You know, like how much time it will take to convert an organization from VMware to, I don't know, VMware 2.0 or whatever. It takes years. Okay. I'm happy that you survived like the first part of the talk. Now we're about to do some fun. Yeah, it's demo time. This is the URL of the tool I'm about to use. Needless. It's funny because it's like needles, and I'm talking about vaccination, and you need to do nothing when you try to prevent malware with it, just to execute it. And yeah, let's go to the demo. No, not questions yet? No? Yeah. So, this is my machine, standard Windows 7 VM. I don't know what this is. Oh, this is a magnifying glass. Yeah, I have like magnifying glass here. I'm about to execute a couple of malware samples which are evasive. They try to detect some indicators for VM, etc. All of the hashes are available on the repository. Anything which I'm using here today, if you have a VirusTotal subscription, you can get it. It is like, you should have like proper like mechanisms to, you know, you don't want to infect your machine, your real machine. I trust you to use a VM carefully. So, first let's execute a fish, this nice tool. Those of you who are not familiar with it will be now. You can see how nice it is. You can see that like the EasyBugger present is okay. It goes through a series of tests. After we will use the vaccination script, you can see how like like many more of those lines will be red. Not all of those, but many of them will be. You can see it is pretty green. It's not perfect, but this machine is pretty well hidden. Yeah. And so let's open a Process Explorer. Not Procmon, Process Explorer. I already have it opened because I'm a smart boy. Yeah, amazing. And well, let's start with non-vaccinated like state of the machine. Then we will roll back and we will test it again after it is being vaccinated. So let's say I want to execute, for example, I don't know, NotPetya, let's say. I have it already here. I want to execute, not Core 0A. No, no. Yeah, live demos. This happens. Amazing. Do it just live. Okay, run DLL 32. And the DLL is over here. And I want this ordinal to be executed. And yeah, you can see it is running. Nobody bothers it. Yeah, nothing special to see here. Yeah, it will run for an hour, so I'm not allowing it to run anymore. But it is running, as you can see. Yeah, I can do the same with, let's say, WannaCry. Surprisingly, it will run as well because this machine is protected by absolutely nothing. It creates like million files and changes the desktop. And yeah, in a second we'll see this. Oh, this annoying screen. Yeah. The one from the stickers. Yeah. It's not limited to ransomware. We actually have a nice example of a sample related to ICS and SCADA systems. This is the IronGate malware. It was written in Python, and then it was compiled using PyInstaller, which can be decompiled with a Y quite easily. So this is actually the source of the malware. You can see that the first function is detect VMware. And, well, what detect VMware is let's jump to it. This is detect VMware. You can see that, let's put it a bit more high. It just open the registry keys, the VMware tools, search for VMhouse, VM host guest file system. They also commented out this section, which is search for this bus, and nothing which surprises any one of us. If we needed to write a malware which searches for virtual machines and honeypots and what's not, we will write the same code, I guess. And well, it's good for us. They did the best they can, but let's think about what we can do better now. And I'm not even going to execute it because, it is pretty obvious what will happen. Yeah, it will run. In this case, it will open a sub-process called audio-DG. It's not the actual audio-DG. It's a tool for performing a network recon by Nearsoft, if you're familiar with it. And yeah, we have this annoying, if you are interested in seeing this annoying screen, it is here. I know you missed it. Let's close this one. Yeah, we are WannaCry now. Yeah, ooh, scary. Let's vaccinate the endpoint. And I have tons of malware here. It will run. It will look scary. The CPU will go up. It will all look the same. I'm just trying to save you some time. So, yeah, this thing maybe. Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, this way. Let's. Yeah. Ignore all the AVs, which are probably related to my talk yesterday. Yeah. So now instead of directly going and executing the malware, we will execute a script. It is a very simple script. It actually does what I said is a bad idea. It does both the static artifacts and the dynamic artifacts. It has flags. Everything is documented on GitHub. You can execute with flag only for the dynamic artifacts, only for the static artifacts, for both if you are interested. I also added a new capability. You can execute it with the -W flag, and then it will go to GitHub and it will download an updated list of the artifacts to create. So I actually have a mechanism for updating the artifacts. It was I did it already here in Vegas. It was like a last minute like eureka moment. And let's execute it. Yeah, it's like that fast, and now it just like holds, I don't know, like 10 different mutexes, and you can see the Process Explorer now is like, looks like this. Yeah. All of those processes are actually like, you can see in the description, all of those are actually like ftp.exe, duplicated and renamed. It sounds stupid, but it works amazingly. And let's like go to the fun part. Now I'm going to start clicking on stuff like, I don't know, let's start with WannaCry, as we did. And yeah, I can do it all day long. And you can see WannaCry was open for a second, then shut down. I can like do it again. Nobody cares. It won't do a thing. Yay. And let's do the same with NotPetya. And this time I'll just like add the ordinal at the end. Yeah, it opens for a second. Yeah. Well, in this case, it is running because I didn't create a meets infection mark. But you can see that it doesn't try to, going through the TCP tab, it doesn't try to infect any neighboring endpoints. I haven't tested it like in the previous snapshot, but you should try it on your own. It will immediately go through all of the endpoints in your segment, and well, you don't want it to happen. And yeah, it's just like you're NotPetya cross-infection free right now, which is nice. It was like I duplicated ftp.exe, renamed it, and well, yeah, it's like it stopped the cross-infection. Think about the Ukraine if they had this stupid thing. And it is not the first time that avp.exe prevents APTs or ransomware like NotPetya. avpui.exe prevented a campaign called the USB Thief, which was detected by ESET a couple of years ago. AVP also prevented another APT, which I forgot its name. Those are like very constant artifacts sought by malware. Moreover, it is a bit more complex to show it here, but you know exploit kits. The RIG exploit kit searches for VMware Fiddler. The Astrum exploit kit searches for other like type of artifacts. You can actually prevent exploit kits by having those artifacts. It sounds a bit stupid and weird and foolish, but it works. They have a cheap exploit against IE, which enables them to enumerate the endpoint. And, well, yeah, it simply works. I can just like click on all of those like stuff all day long. Lucky, it will run for a second. And this one is actually like quite nice because we can see in Procmon, I will open the magnifying glass and I will start the capture because I want to see stuff. Yeah, it is not filtered on Loki, I understand. Or I haven't double-clicked it. Yeah. Yeah, so let's open the magnifying glass once again. Magnifier, wow. Much magnified. And this Loki is performing some kind of an annoying loop where it searches for registry keys and sleeps for a while, and then it searches if a registry key of ESET is present, and then it terminates. This one already terminated, as I can see. Yeah, let's magnify it, and we'll go and actually see it. And you can see that it queried, yeah, here. You can see it over here. It queried if ESET is installed. Why the hell a random executable out there in the world will seek if ESET is already installed? No good reason. And you can see that the next thing it performs is just like unloads some stuff and process exit. If you will execute it in a machine without this registry key, it will start loading in this point all of the malicious DLLs which relate to encryption, URL leap, and all of those, and it will start to resolve the addresses of the dangerous functions dynamically, and all of the stuff it wants to hide from ESET in this case. I think it is enough for a live demo for now. But I have also an instance of Tesla Crypt, which performs exactly the same tests, also through the registry. This is nice for us because this way we can be sure that once we know what to do in our vaccination, like one time, we can reuse it many times. One malware sphere is also the same sphere as the other malware sphere. And I think that now we'll move to questions. I'm just seeking my mouse. Here it is. And yeah. So Shift F5, and I must use one slide with a kitten because it's mandatory. So yeah, question time.
Have you run into any malware that does something destructive when it thinks it's in a virtual environment? Could you be making the problem worse?
I know that there are extremely rare examples for it. I don't think I ever ran into something. I know that there's an example where someone spotted, pointed us, oh, look at this malware. This one is destructive. But think about large enterprises. Let's say that the endpoint was destructed. It is much better to destroy one endpoint than having an undetected threat in your organization. And when you deploy this kind of stuff in large enterprises, you have much more clever solutions. I don't want to talk business, so let's stop it here. But you will know as an enterprise that you have this kind of stuff in your machine. And actually, yesterday in my talk, I did a copy-paste malware, which if it detects something which is marked by Perficious malicious, it will trigger BSOD, but it is stupid. You want to stay stealth if you detect a sandbox. You don't want to do something which will raise the alarm. Yeah. There's a question back there, I think.
So if I see all these markers and I'm actually going to drop something, the alternative would be dropping something that would actually look to see if it would actually be destroyed or eaten. If it's not, then I'm going to then go ahead and assume that all these markers are then a feign, and then I'm going to go ahead and destroy the box or go ahead and go forward with anything. So,
well, it's just it's a paradox because let's say that I do the same thing, I create the same infection marks on on the sandbox, for example, or on the analyst machine. So the malware has a problem here because it doesn't know when it is real and when it is not real. And it's actually a logical attack on the decision making of the malware doing this kind of stuff. That's the fun part of doing this kind of stuff.
Okay, if there's no more questions.
This is again the URL. If any one of you wants to have a look at it. And of course, I'll be glad to answer any questions afterwards at peer list, for example.
Yes, please follow Gal and continue the conversation on Peerlist. And we thank you very much for attending today's talk.
Thank you.